Welcome to Kern River Brewing Company. This is where all the magic happens right here. It's small, but gets the job done. Yeah, so we opened back in 2006. It was kind of a gamble on a few of our parts. It was myself, my wife Rebecca, and our partner Kyle. And we were down in San Diego, Rebecca and I, and she was an Olympic kayaker at the time. I was in grad school in oceanography, and Kyle was a firefighter in the U.S. Forest Service. And we all were just kind of looking for a lifestyle change, and Rebecca was wrapping up her Olympic deal in Athens, and I was just finishing up my PhD. And Kyle's been a home brewer forever and has a great passion for making beer. And we came to Kernville. We love Kernville, and we were trying to figure out what we could do that would help kind of fill a niche in Kernville. And what better idea than when you're done, mountain biking or rafting or fishing, to be able to come in a place and have a nice locally brewed beer. This is our brew house. This is the starting process of the beer. We mill the grain, we put it in here. It's kind of like making coffee. There's a screen, we dump hot water through there. It gets all the goodness out of the grain. You can have different roasted grains, just like different roasted coffee. You can have dark roasted malts, you can have lightly roasted malts. And the goal is to get all the nutrients out of the grain in this process here. And we move it over here into the boil kettle. This is where we add our hops. We boil it to further break down the nutrients. If you were to make beer without any hops at all, it'd be very sweet. So we add hops to beer. It's a bittering agent, helps balance it out. You might have a beer that doesn't have too many hops, like our blonde is kind of light on the hops. Our IPA has a lot of hops in it. Our stout has a lot of malt and a lot of hops. So you can kind of balance everything out, get different ingredients to get different styles of beer. And our specialty is really the hoppy beers. And Kyle, our brewer and partner, he's really got that down. We have a beer that won a gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival in the double IPA category. We've got a few beers ranked in the top 25 of these hoppy styles of beers. Kyle's mastered the art of making a really well-balanced hoppy beer. Not too sweet, not too hoppy. It's got a nice dry finish. And the biggest thing is we add a lot of our hops late in the process. So if you add hops early in the process, they become bitter. And people talk about bitter beers and bitter beer face. Well, that's the hops for sure. But if you add it late in the process, it really adds more aroma. And you know how aroma affects taste. If you can smell a nice floral bouquet, and that's what hops are, they're basically a flower, that just creates a whole different way to experience beers through the nose, and then that affects how it tastes. But the entire process starts right here with the brew house. This process here may take 4 to 8 hours depending on the beer, and then we move on to the next step, which is fermentation. So once we actually brew the beer, there's no alcohol yet. What there are a lot of sugars and proteins, things that are going to feed the yeast. The yeast will eat all of these things and create CO2 and alcohol. The alcohol is the good stuff. The CO2 we kind of let bubble off. And we need to give it a good environment for the yeast to live, and that's what these vessels are here. These are fermentation vessels. So once we run it through the heat exchanger, we put it's called wort, it's not beer yet, into here, and we introduce the yeast. So the yeast will start to live, will start to eat, and over about a 10-day period, it'll ferment and create alcohol and CO2. Once the beer is completely fermented, so it's alcoholic, not yet carbonated, then we force carbonate it. So we basically apply CO2 and a pressure to give it the carbonation, and then it's ready to serve. We have a few ways we can get it to the taps. The easiest way that we have is we pump it directly from one of these tanks into one of these serving tanks. These are connected straight to the bar. We can also keg them, or we can bottle them, and that's how we get it to the consumer. So once we have it in those serving vessels, it's plumbed directly into right here, and this is my favorite part. It goes straight to the tap.
The lottery is what I want to get for my grandson. Yep.
Nice pint-sized pour.
He can shoot it with his BB gun, wouldn't hurt him.
Cheers.
Dad was telling me that they range.
Just right. The craft beer industry is just going through this huge renaissance right now. It was really big in the 90s, and then it kind of died out, and it's growing very quickly again, especially in California. Part of it is that beer is really about, where you are, who you're having a beer with, and just kind of being with friends and in a great atmosphere. And beers can help kind of bring that out, in that every beer has a personality. And the cool thing about it is you can come up to Kernville and have a locally brewed beer that's got its own personality, distinct from, you know, a beer made down in Los Angeles or made in San Diego. This is our 5th anniversary ale. We're coming up on our 6th anniversary here in a few months, and every year that recipe changes. And then we take these bottles and we distribute them all over Kern County and down into Southern California. And I'll show you where we store the bottles. All right, so a couple days ago we did a bottle run of stout. We got about 120 cases of it, and we store it in here, and we basically sell it here at the restaurant and again in locations around Kern County and Southern California. This shipment is going to be delivered, I'll be driving the truck on Thursday, and we'll probably send whatever's left over down to Los Angeles to our distributor down there. So there you have it. There it is from start to finish. It's a small operation, but we have a lot of fun here. And if you want to learn more, go to kernriverbrewing.com, or better yet, come see us.